Wow, Batch Nation! While the Outpost featured another bland Star Wars planet location, this time in a shade of white, its narrative still hit hard thanks to one character finally starting to see the light about the Empire and how it does or doesn't take care of those who have sacrificed for it. Spoilers, by the way, let's freaking go! Even though complimenting the series' visuals and score may seem to be a repetitive trope this season, it's hard not to highlight this episode's production value, which featured some insanely realistic-looking animated snow and another Crosshair-inspired synth-laden soundtrack. Damn, has Star Wars animation come a long way since 2007. Anyway, now that that's out of the way, let's get down to the meat, and that's the fact that this episode and its brand of Imperial shenanigans finally got Mr. Happy, aka Crosshair, to see the light. It took losing his bros, Cody, the Force clone retirement, and now the death of his new pal Mayday to finally convince him he was working for Dix. But he got there, and it was handled perfectly. Lieutenant Nolan was a fantastic plot device to push Crosshair over the edge. He epitomized the arrogance and coldness of the Imperial officer corps that ultimately led to the Empire's undoing a few decades later. Even if Crosshair had any loyalty left in him after this mission, Nolan's cold response to Mayday's injuries and overall disdain for the clones would have still forced his hand. Crosshair has his problems, that's for sure, but he's clearly not pure evil. He does abide by a code, and that code has been forever smashed by the Empire now. What makes this episode even more tragic for Crosshair is that just as he was beginning to smell the roses, he's been captured and sent to Tantiss, so he will more than likely be robbed of any chance of freedom now after finally awakening from the hold his Imperial loyalty had over him. While this episode may have been a bit overhyped by D. Bradley Baker, sorry D, it most definitely pushed the galaxy further towards Imperial oppression, as well as taking Crosshair into new narrative territory, which will surely throw some wrenches into the Empire's Tantiss plans over the final 4 episodes. How about some top moments? Up first is another fantastic new clone commander and his reaction to the Green Lieutenant Nolan. First off, Mayday is the man. Clones with beards are supreme, and his attitude towards an untested Imperial officer was on point. His sass was brilliant and warranted, and this scene instantly made Mayday a classic named clone and probably earned him some early credit with Crosshair. Up next is another Clone Force 99 skirmish. If anything, this season has featured some amazing looking battle sequences, and the attack on the Raider base was no different. Visually, it was a treat, but what really sold it as a top moment was the fact that once again, 2 clones managed to take down what seemed like a full battalion of enemies. If anything, it just goes to show how damn skilled these warriors were, and that their Jango Fett DNA and training was superior to that of the conscripted army and much of the rest of the galaxy. Finally, in unsurprising fashion, Crosshair's killing of Nolan rounds out this list. Not so much for the kill, but I will say I'm glad he took one to the face because that dude was a douche. This scene stood out more so for the fact that Crosshair finally got the message. Empire equals bad, and he was ready to die versus continuing to serve the likes of Nolan. The whole Ice Vulture allegory was a nice touch too, because this scene and Crosshair, like those birds, are finding a way to survive, and for Crosshair it was finding a way to survive under the Empire. But sadly, his latest tactic may just have robbed him of any chance at true freedom after he saw the light. Talk about brutal irony. Hey, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please consider liking it and subbing to our YouTube channel. We'd also love for you to join in with our weekly Star Wars podcast, so use the links in this video's description or head to StarWarsTime.net to subscribe to the platform of your choice.